Welcome back. In the previous class, we have seen how to measure the radiation with the help of different devices. In today's class, let us see the application of solar energy. And the primary application of solar energy is solar thermal systems, or where we are going to utilize the heat energy available in the sun to do useful work. Okay. There are many applications of solar thermal systems. For example, if you are living in a cold region, maybe some part in the Europe or near to the Himalayan region, where the temperatures throughout the year will be less, and you need room heaters to heat up the living space. So we need to provide electrical energy for the heaters. We are converting high grade energy, which is electrical energy, into heat energy, which is a low grade energy. So it's not the best way of converting energy. So what we can do is, we can use the heat energy available in the sun. We can heat air. That hot air can be circulated throughout the living space, and we can provide a comfortable living temperature or conditions inside the living space. That is one of the application. The most commonly seen application is solar water heaters. So if you are constructing a new house, in cities it is mandatory for you to install solar water heaters to reduce the consumption of electricity in our household. So solar water heaters, they absorb heat during the day and they heat water, and the water will be collected in a tank, well insulated tank, and that can be utilized throughout the day to supply hot water, maybe for cleaning purpose, maybe for taking bath. We can use that hot water. And another application of solar thermal system is to provide steam for cooking. If you have gone to some of the places where they cook for a very large number of people on a daily basis, then instead of using electrical energy or firewood to supply the steam required for cooking rice or vegetables or any other dishes, what they do is they install concentrated solar collectors at the top of the kitchen roof. From there, since we are using concentrated solar system, we can have steam at a temperature of around 100 degrees Celsius or at a temperature of 100 to 90 degrees Celsius, and that can be utilized for cooking purpose. That reduces a lot of losses, a lot of electrical energy consumption, or a lot of firewood which is required to produce the steam. So these are a few of the examples where on a day-to-day basis we can come across solar thermal systems. Okay. Solar can be utilized in the form of heat energy or directly converting light energy into electrical energy with the help of photovoltaic cells. We will study about the photovoltaic cells later in the same module. Now let us only concentrate on the heat energy available in the solar rays. So here the first and the most commonly used device to capture heat energy from the sun is the flat plate collector. So nowadays we see rarely these kind of flat plate collectors, but these are the most commonly used flat plate collectors to heat water. Okay. Now we have evacuated tubes, which we will learn later. So those cost a little higher. So if you want to have a water heating system at a lower budget, then few people go to flat plate collectors now also. So the flat plate collector is very simple. So here you have the schematic diagram. It has very few components. It has a well insulated body. So generally the outer shell as well as the inner structure will be made up of metal, maybe aluminum or steel, and then this region is well insulated. So we have a very good insulation on three sides. Only the top side is exposed to the sun rays. Okay. So we have insulation overall here, and then we have a glass plate. So since we are dealing with a slightly higher temperature than usual, we go for glass plates. We can go for plastic plates also, but when the temperatures increases during the summer, the plates will not be able to withstand that heat. So we go for glass. One is it has structural rigidity, and the other major advantage of using glass as the cover is that the glass acts as transparent material for the sun rays which are falling on it. So when the sun rays are falling on it, the wavelength of the sun rays which is falling on it, for that wavelength the glass layer acts as an transparent body. So the sun rays comes and strikes the absorber. So here we have the absorber plate. Generally absorber will be black in color, it will be dull black, so that, or matte black, so that it can absorb lot of heat energy. If it is highly reflective black surface, then it reflects certain amount of energy and it won't be able to capture that. So what we do is, generally we provide, it may be a copper plate, it may be a brass plate. So for that we apply dull black paint, so that the absorption capacity of that will increase. Then so the sun rays will strike the absorber plate, and the absorber plate being black, it absorbs a large amount of energy from that. Now after absorption, certain amount of energy will be reflected, and the reflected rays will have slightly lesser energy than the energy of the incident radiation, because a part of the energy has been absorbed by the absorber plate. Since the radiation or the incident radiation has lost its energy, some part of its energy, its wavelength changes. Now it becomes a larger wavelength, it has lower energy, so the wavelength increases. For the larger wavelength, the glass acts as an opaque surface. So it will not allow this reflected radiation to move out. So it will block the reflected radiation and it reflects back into the surface. So it reflects back into the absorber surface. So this ensures that maximum amount of energy will be absorbed by the absorber plate. Just below the absorber plate we have the tubes. These are the tubes through which, if it is a water heater, water will be flowing, or if it is for some other purpose, that fluid, which is the working fluid in that cycle, will be flowing through these tubes. Again, generally the absorber plate and the tube will be made up of same material, and they will be braced together so that there will be a good thermal contact between the absorber plate and the tube. In some of the designs, the absorber plate will be integral part of the tube itself. It acts as an extended surfaces for the tube itself. Okay. Again, that depends on the cost of production. So if you want a cheaper flat plate collector, generally they will go for braced or welded tubes. If you want a very good absorption, then you will go for a tube where the absorber plate will be integrated with the tube itself. So now the heat energy will be transferred to the water or the fluid which is flowing through the tubes, and then that will be stored in an overhead tank. So we can use that whenever we need. So if it is a water heater, then whenever we need hot water in our house, we can switch on the tap until the water which was stored in the pipe gets emptied. Until then you will get cold water, after that you will get hot water coming from the tap. So this is the cross sectional view. So here we have just the tubes. So what we do is, we will have an overhead tank, and this tank will also be well insulated. So we will have a well insulated overhead tank, and from here what we do is, we will supply water to the bottom header of the flat plate collector. So the flat plate collectors, I will draw the cross section here. So here you have the water storage tank for the flat plate collector. Then you will have the flat plate collector in this position, Generally this will be south. So the flat plates collector will be facing south, because as the sun moves from east to west in sky, it passes in the southern hemisphere. So this will be facing towards south. So somewhere here you have the sun rays will be falling on this, and from the tank there will be two tubes. One is going out of the tank and the other one is where the water comes into the tank. So this is the direction of flow. So the water from the tank will enter the bottom header. So these are the bottom headers. So the water will enter from here, and as the water gets heated up, its density reduces, it becomes lighter, and here you can see that the tank already has certain amount of water and there is no valve here. So when the water here which is present in the flat plate collector gets heat energy, it becomes lighter and their density reduces. So as the density reduces, the more denser water, the cold water which is present in the tube, in this tube, its density will be higher than the water which is heated in the flat plate collector. So because of that, this water pushes the hot water towards the top of the tube, and at the top of the tube we have another header where all the tubes converge, and from here the water will be taken out. So here you will have the top header and here you will have the bottom header. So from the top header the water will be taken out back to the tank, and this will continue, this cycle will continue. The flowing of water through the flat plate collector and the tank will continue till there is sun or heat energy available to heat water. So as the water gets heated up, its density reduces, and the more denser water which is present in the bottom header or this tube will push the lighter water towards the top header, and then from there it enters the tank. So the circulation of water in this circuit will continue till the the solar energy is available for the flat plate collector. So once the sun sets, or once the solar energy is weaker, then the flat plate collector will not be able to absorb that energy and the circulation freezes. The circulation continues in the next day. So as we consume water from this tank, so this tank gets emptied and this tank will be filled with water which is present in the overhead tank. So in our house, wherever we have solar water heaters, the overhead tank will be kept at a higher position than the solar panel. That is because we need aid of gravity to circulate water within the solar water heater. Okay. So we use gravity without using any electricity for the circulation of water from overhead tank to the solar heater tank, and from there inside the circuit. So that is the working of a flat plate collector. And if you want to increase the efficiency of a flat plate collector, then what we do is, one thing is we can use double pane glass. So instead of having a single glass layer here, we can add one more layer of glass. By providing two layers of glass, we can reduce the amount of energy, which is escaping through the glass layer, and thereby we can increase the temperature of the water inside the tubes. That is one way of increasing the efficiency. Using a double pane glass cover costs a lot. So what we can do is, we can use reflectors on either side of the flat plate collector. So if we have sun here, so not only the amount of radiation which is falling on this, the radiation falling on this will be reflected back towards the flat plate collector, and the radiation falling on this will also gets reflected back towards the flat plate collector. So that increases the surface area of collection, which in turn increases the heat absorbed by the working fluid. That is another way of increasing the efficiency of a flat plate collector. One of the major drawbacks with a flat plate collector is that there is a lot of space through which the heat energy, the absorbed heat energy can be lost to the atmosphere. One thing is it is made up of metal, so the structure is made up of metal. The heat can easily conduct through the metal and it will be released to the atmosphere. Then we are using insulations, but none of the insulators are perfect. So because of that we lose certain amount of energy. So there are a lot of drawbacks with the flat plate collector, and we have a glass panel which needs to be cleaned periodically, otherwise the accumulation of dust over the glass panel will also result in less amount of energy being absorbed by the absorber plate as well as the tube. To overcome all these drawbacks, what the thought is, so to have a perfect insulation we can provide that by eliminating conduction as well as convection, and that can be done by providing a vacuum in the collector. If we are using a flat plate collector, then providing vacuum or removing air from the space between the glass panel and the absorber plate is very much difficult. So they come up with a tube, an evacuated tubular collector, where you have a glass tube. Since because of the symmetrical shape and because of the circular structure, so we can maintain vacuum inside the glass tube very easily, and whatever the external pressure acting on that, so the glass tube will be able to withstand that because of the tubular in structure. So the glass tube will be able to withstand the external pressure acting on it and can provide structural rigidity and can hold vacuum for a longer duration of time. So here there are large number of variations in the tubular collectors. So we will study two such variations here. The first one is the flat plate type evacuated tubular collector. So here what we are going to do is, we have this unit represents a flat plate collector. So we have the absorber, so the entire surface is the absorber surface, which is denoted by the blue line, and above that we have the tubes. So the water enters from one end of the tube, passes through the tube inside the passes through the smaller tube and then takes a U-turn and comes out of the other end. So here we don't have the bottom header, we have only one header to transfer the cold water, and the hot water will be collected in the tank. So this is one arrangement. So the cross section of that we can see here. At section AA we have taken the cross section. So you have a large glass tube which is sealed. So here we have the end of the tube, and the other end which is open to the atmosphere will be sealed, and we have the air will be taken out after installing the flat plate collector type tube and absorber arrangement inside the tube. We will remove air from the larger glass tube. So then the water flows here and then takes a U-turn and comes out. So as the water flows through the tube, it absorbs a large amount of energy, and since we are providing evacuated chamber, so there will be no conduction or convection, and the amount of heat lost will be reduced. So if you compare this with a flat plate collector, this require a far less amount of energy. On a cloudy day also, if there is sufficient heat energy coming out, these kind of these kind of evacuated tube collectors will be able to heat water to a maximum extent when compared to a flat plate collector. For a flat plate collector, you need to have a direct sunlight falling on it because its losses are more and the efficiency of conversion is less. So this is one arrangement. We have another arrangement. We have the concentric tube evacuated tube collector. So what we do here is, in this case we are using a flat plate collector. A flat plate collector, a module of that will be inserted inside a large tube. Since still there are places where there is physical contact, and from there the energy can be lost. So what they do is, they use a concentric tubes and the air between these two tubes. So here we have one tube and we have a smaller tube. So the air between these two tubes will be removed, and this entire tube is made up of glass, so there is no metal contact, so that reduces losses, and we provide a selective coating on the inner surface of the tube. So by providing the selective coating, the advantage is that it increases the heat absorption rate. And in that, at the center we have one more tube through which the cold water enters and leaves through the annular gap between the inner tube and the evacuated tube. So as the water flows out of these passages, it absorbs a large amount of heat energy, and that will be stored in an overhead tank. The overhead tank arrangement will be similar to flat plate collector, only instead of using flat plate collector we are using evacuated tube. So here you have the cut section of that. This is the larger tube, and in between inside that we have a smaller tube. These two tubes are made up of glass, and there is a selective coating, and the air will be removed from this annular gap. And then at the center we have a small tube through which the water enters. So the water enters through the center and reaches this other end of the glass tube, and then from here it comes out of the annular gap between the evacuated tube and the smaller tube and absorbs heat energy. So the major advantage here is we are reducing a maximum amount of losses which occurs in the flat plate collector, and thereby we are increasing the collection efficiency, and this requires a smaller amount of energy to heat the water or the other working fluids. So these collectors are applicable only for heating water or for heating purpose. So here we cannot produce steam which is required for cooking. So if you want to produce steam, then you have to go for the concentrated solar collectors. Another application of solar thermal system is solar air heat collectors or air heaters. So these are required, as I said in the beginning, if you are living in a colder region, then you spend electricity or you spend energy on heating the living area. So instead of using that, we can go for passive heating, or we can go for solar air collectors, where we are going to heat the air and the hot air can be supplied to the living space. Or if you want to rehydrate a food product, then you have to use electricity to heat air and then circulate it over the food product in a dehydrator. So instead of using electricity for heating the air, we can use this solar air collectors or solar air heaters to heat the air and supply that hot air to the dehydrator. So there are several variations in the solar air collectors or solar air heaters. Here we have drawn the sketches of few types. The first one is the fin type. So here the first one is the fin type air heater. So what we have here is this the construction of all the collectors are similar to a flat plate collector. So three sides are covered with an insulation material. At the top we have the glass plate, and then we have the absorber. Instead of having tube, so we have a space here through which the air will flow. So in the fin type, this is the absorber. The solar radiation will fall on this, and at the top we have the glass cover, which acts as a transparent layer for the solar radiation, and it acts as an opaque layer for the reflected radiation. So the absorber plate will absorb the solar radiation or solar heat energy, and then that will be transferred to the air which is flowing below that. And since we are using air here, the air has very less heat transfer coefficient. So to increase the heat transfer rate, we are using fins here. So we have provided fins here, and the fins will help to increase the surface area, which increases the amount of energy transferred to the air flowing at the bottom of the absorber plate. Then in the second variation, we have a metal matrix type. So here we, at the bottom and on the three sides we will have the insulation, and at the top we have the metal matrix, and above the metal matrix we will have the glass cover. Okay. The air will be made to flow through the metal matrix, and as the sun rays falls on the metal matrix absorbs heat energy, and as the air flows over it, it transports the heat energy to the air flowing through the metal matrix. So this is another variation. And then we have the corrugated type, so where we have the flat plate collector. So here we have the glass at the top, then on three sides it will be well insulated, and at the bottom we have, instead of having an absorber plate here, we have a corrugated structure which acts as an absorber plate. So the air will be made to flow above and below this, and as the air flows between the corrugated plate, it absorbs heat energy from the corrugated plate, and the corrugated plate will be painted dull black to increase the absorption rate. In the next variation, we have the thermal trap type, where we have the similar arrangement. At the bottom we have the insulator, and on the two sides it will be insulated, and at the top we have the glass cover, and between the insulator and the glass cover there will be a material which stores heat energy for a longer duration of time. So the air will be made to flow through that material. We have a porous material which absorbs heat energy and stores it, and the air is made to flow through the porous material, and as it flows through the porous material, it absorbs heat energy stored by the material. So in all these variations, what we do is we find one or the other way to store heat energy and to absorb heat energy, and then that will be transferred to the air which is flowing through the passage. So this is these are the few variations of solar air collector or solar air heater. The next application of solar thermal power is, or solar thermal energy is, solar distillation or desalination of water. So we have sea water which is saline. We can desalinate it and we can use it for many purposes. So to do that, what we do is, here we have the schematic of a desalination plant where we will have the glass roof. So here we have a glass roof which is placed over a blackened tank. So we have a shallow tank which is blackened at the bottom, so that maximum amount of heat energy will be absorbed. The saline water will be poured or sent into the tank, the shallow tank, with the help of this pipeline. So here we will pour the saline water. From here the water gets collected, and after reaching the overflow pipe height, so whatever the excess water which is added will come out of the overflow pipe. And to reduce the loss of energy to the atmosphere, we have insulated the entire tank. Because of the insulation, whatever the heat energy is absorbed by the blackened surface or the blackened bottom will be sent back to the water which is present here. So as the solar radiation falls on the roof, it is a glass roof, because of that it acts as a transparent layer for the incoming solar radiation and acts as an opaque layer for the reflected low energy solar radiation. Okay. So the water which is present here gets heated up and the water evaporates, leaving behind the thick concentration of salts. So the evaporated water gets condensed on the glass roof, and then it drips down into the condensate channel. So here on either side we have the condensate channel. So it drips down to the condensate channel, and at the end of the channel there will be a pipe through which the condensed water will be taken out from the desalination plant. So that is the working of a desalination plant, where we use solar energy or solar heat energy to desalinate water or remove salts from the saline water. Once in a while, the water which is present here, after repeating many cycles of desalination, a very thick or a very high concentrated solution of salt will be present, which we call it as brine. So that should be removed on a periodic basis, otherwise that will accumulate over the black surface and reduces the amount of energy absorbed by the black surface, in turn reduces the amount of energy available for the desalination. So to do that, we have a brine discharge here. So once in a while we will open the valve here and we remove all the water, all the brine which is highly concentrated salt solution from the shallow tank, and then again the water, the saline water will be added, and during the daytime whenever there is sunshine, the energy will be absorbed by the blackened bottom, and that will transfer it to the saline water, where the water gets evaporated and the water gets collected in the condensate channel, and from there it will be taken out, the distilled water will be taken out, and the high concentration solution of salt, which we call it as brine, will be periodically removed and the bottom surface will be cleaned. Then a fresh batch of saline water will be added. So this is the working of solar desalination or solar distillation of water.